Welcome to the 8 Billion Project, where we're on a mission to make an impact by discovering and sharing the purpose of every person on this planet. I'm your host, Liza Florida. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 8 Billion Podcast. I am your host, Liza Florida, and today we have a special guest, Peter Paul Parker. Peter is a meditation coach, Ki Gong instructor, sound healer, and musician. He is a Ki Gong champion, having won a competition with the GB team in Korea. He is a signed musician with albums out and has a spiritual album, which is called Anahata Earth Echoes. And Peter, you're going to have to probably correct me when I'm done with your introduction. He's running an online coaching course for grounding the energy body and awakening the chakra system. Welcome, Peter, to the 8 Billion Podcast. It is such a delight to have you on today.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful introduction. And yes, it's Anahata. Anahata means the unstruck sound. It's the sound of the heart. It's about the heart chakra. So that's what Anahata means. It means reverberating the heart chakra sound across the earth, which is what we need to do at this time in this crazy world that we live in.
Yes. And you and I have had offline talks of how crazy the world is right now, but it's also beautiful. Yeah. Oh. And it's beautiful depending on what you want to concentrate on.
That's
right?
it. Yeah. Where you focus, where your mind goes, your energy will follow. That's where my teaching for Ki Gong comes. And if you're focusing on this, your energy is going to go there. If you're focusing on that, your energy is going to go there. So my question to people is, what do you actually want to focus on? That's a really big question to ask people. Do you want to focus on that, or do you want to focus on that? If you want to focus on that, that will take you down. If you focus on that, which is love, that will take you up. And that's really what we teach in our Ki Gong class, is where your mind goes, your energy follows. So I think with the Ki Gong, I think it's brilliant because you're taking yourself back into your body. Like you say, I'm trying to ground human beings, because when we have so much information coming into the head, which we're bombarded 24/7, all you need to do is turn the radio on, turn the television on. It's just all coming into the head. So the head starts to warm up. Another principle of our Ki Gong practice is water up, fire down, because the cool energy from the kidneys should be cooling the brainstem, and the fire should be going down into the belly, which is your immune system, which should be warm. And what's happening now in virtually everyone I've seen in the live Ki Gong classes, they have a cold belly and a warm head because of the information coming into the head. So human beings, most of us are walking around, or have been walking around, with the wrong energy system inside of our bodies. So to ground yourself first, you really need to get some training going, get some focus on yourself. Because if you keep focusing outside, your head will carry on getting warmer and warmer, because your thoughts will carry on running around in circles, like the monkey mind. The Tibetan monks called it the monkey mind, where your mind's just spinning, and your head will get warmer and warmer. People can't sleep. They can't sit and rest. They've got to keep going. They're getting addicted to cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And it's going crazy for some people. Other people are sitting back and taking their meditation and their breathing and their Ki Gong more seriously, and they're starting to see opportunities in the world and actually starting to enjoy other human beings. So as I say, it's like a choice. Where your mind goes, your energy will follow. So the whole beautiful thing about all of that is the choice lies within each and every single human being on the planet. You can choose which way you want to go, and that's empowering when you realize that. Because at first, when someone said that to me, at first I go, what are you talking about? I can't get out of this situation. Yes, you can. But sometimes it needs to take a serious reflection on yourself to think, okay, I've got to move this. Where am I going to go to move this? And that's what happened with me, with my story, is I found steps to take that helped me move me out of the situation that I was in. So important stuff.
Now, Stephen, thanks for actually sharing that. And I am going to touch on that. But could you take us down the road of, like your story? So you were a musician for many years. And is that, yeah. So could you tell the audience, or take us down
that story of, your journey as either a musician and it is what led to your practice in Qigong. Is that correct?
Yeah, it all started way back when I was 10 years old. My father became disabled. He lost he never really got it back for about 9-10 years while he was still alive. My mother died when I was 11. I was sent off to boarding school. And then my father died, at 19. And I jumped out into the world. Didn't really find anything that I liked because I was just so traumatized. Yeah. And then I found music, and I found music was great because it allowed me to focus on something that I really loved. I didn't have to worry about what was going on in the world. Didn't have to worry about what was happening with me. I could just focus on my music. And I had a good aptitude for it. I was a bass player, so it was like a very good low vibrational thing for me because the bass player used to speak between the drums and the guitars, and it was great. And I found that like a meditation when we used to have really top musicians in the UK jamming with each other. I used to be involved with some great bands, and that was like a massive meditation for the moment unfolding itself bit by bit, which was phenomenal. And unfortunately, the live work started to dry up. The albums that I released were given away for free on a lot of websites, like pirate websites. And the money stopped flowing towards me. So I had to find something to do after that. And my wife and I went to a mind, body, spirit show, and we found this Curlian photography where we both got our photographs taken. Mine was all this blue esoteric stuff because I'd had a couple of out-of-body experiences while being a musician, so I realized what the esoteric world was, but I didn't realize about grounding at that point. But hers was beautifully grounded, all these lovely reds and yellows. And we walked around the corner because she thought, no, I'm just as into this spiritual stuff as you. I'm going to have a blue and purple one. So she got it photographed again at this, it was a Dharma yoga stall at that point. And I started speaking to one of the masters and saying, oh, the world is so bad. My life is so bad. Everything's so bad. And she said, you should come and do the training. Come and do the training, see what happens. And I'd done martial arts before, so I was used to group classes. Sometimes men find it hard to go into a group class, but I found it quite easy. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, my stress and anxiety started to dissolve. And I think, wow, this is good. This is good. Where's this going to take me? And after it took a while, and I started realizing I started to unpeel the trauma inside me. It was like energetic trauma inside of me. And I was doing so well at it, I was starting to teach the new people coming in. And my mentor said to me, my master said to me, she said, why don't you go and teach this old people's home? I thought, okay, I'll give that a go. I had nothing in common with them. I'd lost all my elderly relatives. And I started teaching them. And I realized they're the same as me, just they just got an older vehicle. And I thought, how am I going to teach them about the chakra system and the meridians when they're like they are? And from a room of about 5 or 6 people week in, week out, they kept coming back because I felt the benefits almost straight away. The room was packed after about a year, and I thought, there's something to this. I've got to do this. I've got to get this out to a wider audience. So at that point, I decided, right, I'm going to do my proper courses, like a brain management training course and the Dan Master course. And I took those and I started my own teaching in different classes. And I went out into businesses and schools and having the same effect with everybody. Everybody's going, wow, this stuff is so powerful. And it's just really connecting with yourself. And that's how I got into Qigong. And then we went over to Korea in 2016, it was, with the GB team. And I was used to all the glamour of the big stage and thousands of people there, but I wasn't used to being connected with the energy so much with so many people. And when I did a speech, a very short speech at one of the meetings there, and it was wonderful because I managed to get all these different peoples from different countries who'd all been at war with each other. And I was just, when you stream your consciousness through your seventh chakra, you stream it out. And it was one of those occasions. And all these people at the end of what I said all hugged each other. I thought, I've got to do something with this. I've got to keep pushing this forward. And that's why I got into Qigong and teaching Qigong. And now it's got me to here where I've been I was really successful before lockdown, and now I've taken it all online now, which is also becoming successful. So that's great. So that's how I got into it. It was like the downs and then the ups, downs, up, downs, up, and it's been a journey, but it's been unpeeling that onion of trauma is the best thing you could ever do, because I think we've all got that kind of trauma that stuck inside of us, and once we start to get our energy body out of that by grounding our physical body first, wow, does the world look a lot different. It looks a lot different.
It sure does. Peeling that onion is something we all are doing, you know what I'm saying? And those layers sometimes are really thick. But let me ask you, you were just talking about that, Peter, when you said that you know, typically you're used to performing in front of thousands of people, but this time you spoke to them. And I wanted to take you back to that moment. And you said that this was the first time you really felt connected to them. Now, do you feel that happened for you because you were practicing Ki Gong and you knew how you were channeling energy to truly connect? Because we really are all connected.
Yeah, I think it made me more aware of it. Because I think when I speak to people, when I don't use my brain so much and it just comes flowing out, I think I've always managed to do that, but not realizing why. I think this time I realized, and then when you realize it's flowing, you let it go. There's like you hear about channelers do that, but it's just consciousness coming through, and you're just talking, and it's like this universal message that strikes the heart of everybody in the audience. You go, that was it. And there's a higher energy at work there. There's definitely a higher. My conduit is here, and a higher energy just coming through my heart, which we're all connected to, which you're so correct with that. We're all connected to it. So it's not a special gift or anything like that. It's just you can tune your body up for it, and you can start doing it for yourself, and it is amazing. It's just one of the most, I get goosebumps now even talking about it.
Just talking about it, right? And I was just gonna say that though, because the minute you were talking about it, I was like, oh, it's like channeling. But what you're saying is it's just how everyone defines it. It's consciousness coming through you, especially when you take out all of the mind things. I mean, it's because I've had those instances where I've had people look at me and like, wow, that was such a powerful message. And I was like, what did I say? I was like, what did I just say to you?
Yes.
I was like, did you record it?
That's it. Please. Maybe
right.
I'll put it in my book.
But that's what I want to share with the audience. Everyone has that ability to do that. When you get clear with your energy, and you're absolutely right. Even I'm learning right now, just listening to this podcast or doing this podcast interview, when you're saying the heat has to be in the lower form of the belly, because oftentimes it's here, because this is where we're often thinking. With my energy healer, and I'm definitely interested in taking one of your Ki Gong classes. So I'll definitely be, enrolling and doing it remote, Peter, because I just even, with our few talks and just with this introduction, I can absolutely see the benefits to it. But what she was telling me was that I was really open here in my heart space. But what I needed to do, and the work that we did for a year, was ground, because it was just so visionary and dreamy. And that's, that was her. And we talked about this in an offline conversation, the triangle, but she needed it to flip, so then I could truly bring the manifestations here on, like on earth, and actually deliver it in its true form. That's what I was saying. And, and I just want to let the audience know, I deliver, I put people like Peter on here just to show you different perspectives of different practices that are available out there. Because, there's so many different paths in spirituality. And Ki Gong and sound healing is definitely, I've always known about Ki Gong. I never practiced it. So I'm going to be one of your students. And then in sound healing, I've been doing sound baths, and it's amazing. I always have this thing with drums. So drums have always been calling to me. And that's why I always feel like I've had this affinity to the Native American culture, and I can always meditate to drumming. But could you tell us a little bit more then, Peter, about how you got into sound healing then?
Sound healing, I obviously love sound as a musician, and it suddenly came to me that you could heal through sound. I really thought, well, what's that all about? I realised they actually use tuning forks on the National Health Service, which is our public health service in this country. I didn't realise that. So I was looking into getting deeper into that because I started using tuning forks and experimenting with myself, and then I started taking clients on. And I was using for the chakra system. If people don't know what that is, that's like the energy circles in the body going up the spine. There's 7 of them, and each one of them has a specific tone and a specific color. Actually, colors actually have the same waveform. It's like low waveforms and higher peaks and troughs as you go up the chakras. And I was using these tuning forks to tune the chakras up. At first, I was very skeptical, but I thought, okay, I'll give this a go. So I started doing that at home, and you could hear when the chakra was either out of balance, or it was either not working properly, or it was overstimulated. And you could sit and also used it with the self-regier tones, which I wasn't going to do, but I thought, okay, I'll give this a go as well, because that was channeled. And I'm sometimes with channeled information, I like to have empirical evidence for myself. But I use the self-regier tones as well on people. And I'd do a whole round. I'd use the Tibetan bowls as well. It's like a gong bath as well. And the people that were coming through these sound healing sessions were saying, I feel amazing. I feel clean. I feel energized. I feel shining. You know, shiny. Freddie Silvers talks about shining ones, a very, very deep ancestry that we've had. But they use that word, shining. I felt shining. And it was amazing because you realize you've completely woken up the chakras. Their eyes were gleaming. I'd always say, go and look in the mirror now and look at your eyes. They're gleaming. They are definitely the windows to your soul. Mm-hmm. But they kept going back into their life and then coming back again. And I was just fixing the same problems week in, week out. I thought, this is no good because you need to be fixing this for yourself. So I got into sound toning after that, and I used to get people to come in to do sound toning. Jonathan Goldman was on a course with his sound toning the chakras, and you can get your chakras to rattle just with your voice. Now I've got some pretty low quality videos on my YouTube channel with that on, where I've done some live sound tonings, but you can get the gist of it with going up the chakras. And you can actually get them to rattle, and you can sit there and meditate. And there's like a 432 hertz sound frequency going through the music. Also a 7.83 hertz I put in there, which is the Schumann resonance of the earth. And you wear headphones and you start to ground with yourself. And also got some ohms, some proper ohms on there as well, with some drums and things like that on my YouTube channel, which is very simple, very basic, but it's sound is us. It's part of my 5 stepping stones of transformation course. Sound is the last one, because you're actually starting to integrate yourself with the field around you, and you're starting to feel the field around you, and you're starting to become your life, rather than, because we go through like developments of life happening to you, and then you realize you can start to create it, so life starts to happen through you. Then you realize that you can enjoy your life running through you. Then you become that life, and it's like you're just in the field. And there's times now in my life when I'm walking through the garden or whatever, I'm just there. It's just everything is there. It's one of the most amazing feelings and connected feelings you can get. All the birds are there, the cats, and everything just seems to be happy, and it's just beautiful. And I've had a few of those happen to me. And sound, I feel, really gets you to that place of being more connected with the field, more connected with nature, which is where we need to be more as human beings. Because you think about it, a lot of us, especially during this lockdown period, have been stuck in our little boxes, looking at the walls, thinking what we're going to do, addicted to screens, getting bad necks and bad postures because of it. You need to get out into nature and really feel that nature on you. The sunshine, sun is everything comes from the sun on this planet. All the vibrations on this planet comes from the sun. We should be out in the sun. We should be out in the green. Green affects our heart chakra, opens our heart up, and it makes us feel united with everything, connected with everything. And sound really does, for me, fulfill that whole thing of when you finally ground yourself and you want to come out, sound will help you resonate with the field much, much more. And it's all scientifically proven really now. You get the tones of the chakras. They're actually starting to use tones for healing in mainstream the medical industry, but they're keeping it very quiet because they don't want to realize that you can fix your body through tones. You can heal your body through tones. I don't want you to know that really, because once that comes out, it's like the old Rife machines. You've ever heard of Rife, Dr. Rife? He found like a energetic vibrational cure for cancer. Shouldn't say that on the web, but you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say you found a cure for cancer, but he did. And all of a sudden, his machine got pushed to the side and disappeared. You know, it's ridiculous. And it is vibration. It's all about vibration with your body and your mind and your intention. If you can intend something to happen, it will happen. But you need to have really pure intention. And to get to that pureness, that's I'm peeling that onion again.
It is. No, and I was just gonna, just mention that because I lost my mother to cancer in 2018. And, one of the things you do is, back then, of course, I didn't have the awareness that I do today. And I knew she wanted to take a holistic route. But of course, we're so used to the Western medicine practice, like, let's get you on chemo, let's do this. But I think something even was internally calling to her soul. And, like you can't change back time and you can't rewind it. But I do believe that, even through her guidance, like I was led to all of this energy healing, because now that I've done so much energy work, I just feel like a lot of diseases and even virus, so to speak, people get that just simply because they're immune, like they've got so much stuck energy in their field. Like it's all the onions, the layers of the onions that they need to peel from trauma, from so many different things, whether you believe in past lifetimes, there's so much of that stuff that needs to be peeled. That's why it's a big effort on my end, as a podcast host to get all of this information so people could just start anywhere, and like we said, going back to peeling that onion, Peter, you and I, we've talked about this before. You and I were, at least for myself, I was a big conspiracy theorist about 10, 12 years ago. And I went down that path and I just was filled with fear. And in modern day today, I think they call it the truth movement, and it's pretty big right now. And I was filled with fear. But at that time, there wasn't lots of YouTube and all this. It's just articles I would read, and I was going down that rabbit hole, and I kept looking and searching for answers, and the fear just kept building up in me, and I wanted to be out there and, just be like, hey, you guys have to know this, because, I was so duped by the world, or what I felt was duped by the world. But I almost feel like it was the beginning path of my awakening, because I had to rise above that eventually. And, like you and I have had conversations offline, for me, it was either a book or it was kind of being in it for a while and everyone thinking I was crazy. And, you know what I mean? But you get stuck in the minutia of it, and that becomes your world, Yeah.
It's to me, I personally think it's a bit of a trap, because it's the ones who are actually putting out the conspiracy theories are the people doing the conspiracies, and you get caught into a position where all you want to do is talk about that every time you go to a party or you meet someone. You always bring it up, and you always just discussing, did you see what they were doing this, and you're seeing that. And yeah, it's important to have information to protect yourself, but to actually go into the finest detail of trying to sort all of this out and unraveling it for yourself. Why not do that for yourself? Use your energy. As I say, where your mind goes, your energy will follow. If you're focusing on that, you're giving your energy away. It's like you become angry. And once you get angry, you'll get problems with your liver. You get problems with your mind, because you're diverting your energy away from where you should be putting it in, which is back to yourself. Once you put it back to yourself, then you can do good in the world. You can put good into the world. Many, many people are realizing that the society that we live in, especially the West, but even the East, because that's kind of been funded by the West as well, is wrong. Many people are realizing that. And to rattle up against the cage, you're just rattling up against the cage. You're just making more negative vibration. When you start to create your own environment and your own position in the world and say, this is where I'm at. I'm a sovereign being. I'm waking up. I'm starting to feel my own energy. I want to share that energy with other people. I want to share this knowledge with other people to empower them so that they can do what they came here to do, which is shine on this planet. When more of us start to do that, the system will move towards that anyway, because it has no choice. But if you fight fire with fire, what do you get? You get bigger fire.
Bigger
and
fire,
that's what's
absolutely.
happening. And is if you put yourself into a despot's position, and how would you best get people to expose themselves is by putting people saying, this guy's a despot, and you'd put them into society and you start to rile those feelings up, and then they'll start to group together, and therefore you've started a division in society. And it's always been the way that controllers have worked in society, they divide and rule. And my point is, we were talking about the vaccine, anti-vaxxers and pro-vaxxers. I don't want to go in either of those camps. I want to keep my body holistic. And if someone wants to put my body, something into my body, it would have to be informed consent. And that goes down to so much with food as well. I get really upset with companies are allowed to put carcinogens and things like that into food, but into medications, it's everywhere. And it's everywhere now. You've got genetically modified substances being injected into bodies at this moment. And who knows where that's going to go, because it's never been studied. It's a big experiment. And this is where people need to wake up, bring the energy back to themselves and go, this is my body. This is my body. It's people have taken, made fun out of it, saying, oh, my body is a temple, with all this new age stuff. And it is. Seriously, it is your temple.
It is. It really is.
Vehicle. It's your vehicle to get you around from A to B and experience this material world, which is what it is. You're just having an experience here, and that's really important. But if you can bring your power down, channel it down and put it onto this earth, my goodness me, are we powerful beings? And that's what's happening at the moment. You look at all the establishment. I didn't see it, but I saw tiny reports of the G7. I think it happened in Cornwall this year. And it looked like a joke. It was a farce. The conversations that we're having, I'm thinking, these people are in control of this. They're not in control of anything. They don't know what they're doing. And it's like a comedy of errors. And more people who are conscious are going to be looking at this and going, we've got to change this. And we've got to change this rapidly. And that's spreading. The awakening is really spreading across humanity really rapidly now. More and more people I'm speaking to. I was speaking to someone today who's come out of the corporate world. I was on a course call, and I couldn't believe it when he was discussing. He was a salesman. He had the mannerisms of a salesman. I liked his mannerisms. There's nothing wrong with that, but he had the mannerisms of a salesman. He'd been well trained and well conditioned to do that. And it was just incredible what was coming out of his mouth. You go, wow, this guy's awake. He's realizing that there's more to life than this. He's feeling a consciousness coming into his body that's changing him. He's starting to realize that you've got to put out into the world and put good stuff out into the world, not just take the money for yourself. And if that's happening with him, I'm sure it's happening with millions of people all over the world. Like you said, with your podcast, you've got different groups of people now suddenly waking up and coming in and trying to get on your podcast. And that's phenomenal. And that's what's happening. So with the truth movement, if you want to get bogged down with that, you can do. But it was the truth movement and that dark rabbit hole. I went right down. I was trying to go to prove all of them wrong. I was trying to prove 9/11 was theories, and I was trying to prove this and prove that. And it was David Icke I went to see. I took my wife to see David Icke, and I was worried about the reptilian thing. Because I think, well, what's she going to think about that? And then she was into Van Duniken's research into ancient aliens and the ancient alien influence we've had in the Vedas, the Vedic scripts. We've had this for thousands of years, and it's all been covered up. And I don't think David Icke is particularly 100% on target with the reptilian thing, but it was what he said. And he said, look for the silence inside of you. Look for that silence. And I went, what on earth is he talking about? And then that's when I asked that and said, you're going to help me with this, looking up at the universe? And that's when I went on my trail of going down the Ki Gong route, becoming a Ki Gong instructor, looking into sound healing, looking for that silence, because it's the I in I am. If you're looking for that I in I am, then you realize you observe all of this. You just observe it.
Yes, you absolutely observe it. And I wanted to let everyone know in the audience, if you're going down whatever path, there's no right or wrong. It just is. And some people will pass through the truth movement and find enlightenment, and other people will not. Peter and I just happened to pass through it, which is where we found our silence. I mean, our silence within the I am being. So many people will have many definitions of it, like the Christ consciousness. There's so many different definitions, and it's for you to go down that journey. And the beauty of it is the journey. It's the journey. But I know that it often is tough when it's a little bit dark, when it's in that place where it fights and pushes against each other. But that's not where it's going to be found. A lot of it is to turn within, and it really is a paradigm shift. And like I said, I read a book, and the book was it for me, because I started to realize that a lot of these things down here going on at the government level, the corporate level, the big money, and that was all. I personally didn't have what it took to take them on. You know what I mean? And so I said, what could I possibly have control over? And it was my mind, like I said, and then it connected to my heart. And then once you start to find the alignment between the mind and the heart, you can easily start to connect with everyone else. And that light shines through you, and they can see that. And so it just becomes something where I always just hold the space that wherever you are on your journey, that it's about stepping into your own power, because that's something no one can take from you,
It's very true. As you say, we call it the 3 dantians in the Ki Gong that I teach, because you're saying that you need to work on your lower dantians, and you said it then. You said it's like your mind and your heart, your brain and your heart, and you've got your second brain, your gut, and that's the first thing that I was taught to work on, was the gut. We do a lot of we call it dantian tapping our dantian, and intestine exercise, moving your intestines in and out, so you keep continually warming up that area, tapping the second chakra for periods of time. 5 minutes. It doesn't sound long, but it is if you're just not used to it and you're tapping that area. And it's this, all three, once you connect all three, which all have neurons in them, your gut has about the same neurons, different to a neuron in your brain, but it is a neuron, it's intelligent, as a small cat or a dog. And if your enteric nervous system goes down, which is your gut, you cannot be revived. But if your brain goes down, that can keep you alive on a machine. But if your gut goes down, they can't keep you alive. That's how important this area of your physical body is. And it's getting neglected through bad food, bad diet, bad habits, bad posture. And it's really important to think about your lower gut, really, and your lower chakras. Because when you come into a world that we have at the moment, and you realize and you understand the energy bodies a little bit more, you'll see that all the lower chakras aren't working properly, because everybody's trying to grab and grab and grab. And a lot of people are going up into the left brain, which is the analytical brain, and not using the right brain, the daydreaming sort of creative brain. And that's where we're getting stuck. Get stuck in the left brain, and we're trying to find ways of fixing things just through the left brain. And it was Einstein who said, wasn't it? He said you can't fix a problem with the same consciousness it was created. So if you're losing your connection with yourself, with your lower chakras out and your left brain overactive, of course your right brain, your creative brain, and your creative chakra, your second chakra, is where your main creation comes from. It's actually through your energetic drives, like your sexual drives. That's where your creative energy
comes from. Yep.
Yeah, and you use that for healing and fixing yourself and your body. Wow, you become powerful, and you become
super powerful.
Yeah, it's sort of like problems become interesting. Oh my goodness, this is a difficulty. And you're touching about going through the darkness. It's called the dark night of the soul. I've had many in my life when you just sit there and go, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
I know. One more heart chakra awakening.
Am I going to do this again? And then the next morning you wake up, you go, wow, I've got another day. I'm going to go and do what I need to fix that problem. But at first, when it first happening, it used to be days and days and days, and you think, oh goodness me, this is just drearing on. Now it's really quick, and I still get them today. You get the other day when it's been a really bad day. You go to bed, you think, oh God. Wake up the next day, wow, okay, I've got the answer, and it just channels through you. The energy comes through you. You get up and you do it, and it's incredible. And that's where we all need to be at, is that position of just channeling this energy through us, so that we can really empower ourselves to be the bright beings that we are, rather than this. A lot of people are just in autopilot. They're getting up, having breakfast, going to work, coming home, playing a computer game, watching the box set, going to bed, and then doing the same thing over and over again. And there's a lot more to it than that. If you're not seeing your cycles, you're not seeing the mirrors, which we haven't really touched on, because everybody has a lesson for you. Everybody, no matter who you speak to, as long as you're open to that lesson, when you speak to them, you'll get that lesson. And in our ancestry, it was called the Essenes and the Essene mirrors. You can Google that and look it up. And they have 7 Essene mirrors, which I'm not an expert on, but I realize when someone comes into your life and they're really close, they feel really close to you, and then they suddenly disappear. You feel like almost that they're a soulmate. They're showing you that part of your personality is actually dying, and that part of your personality you liked in that person is actually dying. And it's when I first recognized this happening to me with people coming in and out of my life, of course I was upset at first. I thought, oh, there's a friend there, why have they suddenly gone out of my life? But then I realized that at a deeper level, it was part of that personality that I needed to lose, because it was attached to too many material things. It had gone. And it's looking for these mirrors, these triggers, these little signals that the universe gives us, but we're too busy in our autopilot world. We're missing all of this beautiful growth and development that we can be going through if we're in the autopilot mind, stuck in the left brain, lower chakras not working properly. So incredible stuff.
No, I just had a moment right now in the podcast when you said that, Peter. I was like, that might be my best timestamp moment, and just watching the facial expression on me, because it's true. And when you even said that, right? Because sometimes people coming into your life and leaving so abruptly or harshly can be very damaging. But let me rewind back. It's true though. When you do the work, the trauma, you'll like probably sit in it for a day, but what you'll notice is it's gone the next morning, depending on where you are in your evolutionary consciousness, because you understand it's like like there's more to it. And when you said that, and I was just journaling that, that sometimes when there's more, everything doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. If you can actually truly see it for what it is. But it does require you doing the work and taking off the layers so you don't see it with certain lenses anymore. But that was just such a powerful moment when you said like someone coming into your life and then leaving, that's a part of you that is dying or no longer will serve you. Doesn't mean that person can't come back in a different form, but there is a lesson to learn in that moment that happened. And I was journaling about that. Because everyone is a mirror reflection of you. They're here, and that's why when you start to understand that, you're able to navigate through life so beautifully, because there's no attachments anymore. It's just connection.
Yeah. Very, very true. And there's been times when I've found it difficult to take a step forward because I've so much has gone from what I've been a rock musician. You need the ego the size of a house. You needed to say, oh, everything's mine, and you're battling for everything, and you're on stage and I am the bees and E's and all this kind of stuff. And then when I started to get rid of all of that, it was almost like every step forward is like, well, this is a bit shaky. At first, this is a bit shaky. And there was a time when I went away in Korea. It was the Ki Gong competition we entered. I was in Korea doing a past meditation. It was a meditation in a cave to get rid of your past traumas. And I thought, okay, I'll do this. I thought this was quite. It should be quite easy because I think I've dealt with most of the traumas that I've encountered in the past, and that's again a little bit egotistical saying that, because I don't think you ever really. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. We'll see. You never say never. Just say. Anyway, I started doing this meditation. This beautiful cave. It was really dark in there. It was wonderful. A lovely temperature as well because it was quite hot in Korea. I was going like a time capsule, going through all these different areas of the traumas that I had, like my mother dying, my father dying, going to boarding school, paedophiles at the boarding school, which wasn't nice, but didn't get anywhere near me, thank goodness. But I have compassion for the other boys that they've damaged and they're still damaged today who connect with me on Facebook. So, and it was, I've got over all of that and forgiven all of that and given out love. And then I found one where my father died and my two eldest brothers ended up with two houses from his estate, and also it seemed that they had the money to do courses. One of them became a chiropractor, one of them became an airline pilot, and the younger four boys got nothing. And I'd never really thought about it at the time because I was so traumatized, thinking, I never thought, why did they get houses, we get nothing? And then it dawned on me, thinking, well, they've obviously helped themselves to the will. They've taken from my father's estate and not really passed it down to us. And at that point in time, I forgave them. I thought, there's no point in harboring it. It was many years ago. And I just put my hands together by my heart and said, I forgive you. There's no worries. It doesn't mean I have to see them again, but I just forgive them and let it go. And I let it go. And I walked out of that cage, and my mentor came up to me and goes, what's happened to you? What's happened to you? He says, you look 20 years younger, you look really young. So I just forgiven my brothers, and I explained the story, and she went, wow, you've released from your liver, your anger's gone, you've released from your liver, you look fantastic. And to me, at that very point in time, that's when I really, really knew my empirical evidence was so strong that we hold this stuff in our body, and when we release it, we feel younger, lighter, we feel more alert, better. And it's such an important lesson because we don't even realize we're holding it there.
Yes.
We don't realize it until we actually start to get it. And then when we start to get it, have the courage to release it, because it's not you. It's not you, even though you think it is. It's not you. And a lot of people hold on to their ego because they think their ego is them, but it's not. It's actually, ego is a good tool. I'm not saying it's a bad tool. It's a good tool to get you into a position. But if you allow it to keep you in your comfort zone, once you get into that position and you allow it to be negative towards anything else that's coming in or making you move out of that comfort zone, then you need to put your ego to the back and just really trust in the process. Yes. And then when you trust the process, you trust the universe. I get goosebumps even saying that. It goes, whoom, and you're in a different place altogether. And you go, I never thought I could get here.
Yes. And yes, it's absolutely, like, you're absolutely right. In the beginning, it's going to take time and it's shaky because it's a new space for you. But as you learn to just, you take those steps, and then before you know it, you go farther in it. And then all of a sudden it's just like this vortex that takes you, and you're like, holy crap, I wish I came here earlier. I wish I knew about this stuff earlier. But, we're here to assist, audience. You can get there. Peter and I are perfect examples of what everyone is. We're all moving into that space.
Yeah, more laughter, more fun, more smiles. And yeah, there's serious parts of it, but it's time. It's time for this planet to move. If you look at the time that's happening, we got at the end of a climate cycle, we're at the end of a financial cycle, we're also at the end of a astrological cycle. And they called it the Kali Yuga in the Vedas, which is like the Iron Age, apparently removing, that goes on for thousands of years, and apparently moving into a very short, what they call a short golden age of about 10,000 years. So this awakening is for you to be able to navigate yourself through this Kali Yuga. It doesn't mean the world is going to get that much better, but there's going to be areas of the world that are going to be just great. And it's us who are going to do that. And we start to look after our brothers and sisters. We start to look after all the animals on the planet, compassion and empathy to them, and also look after our environment. Look what we've done to this planet. If you think about the 200 years we've been on this planet, if you, for instance, just take the world to be a 30 centimeter ruler, and that, just for argument's sake, 150,000 years. I believe it's a lot longer than that, but 150,000 years, and you look at just a tiny pinprick at the end of the millimeter on that ruler, that's our existence on this planet. And you think, when you look at it on geological terms, the amount of garbage they're going to find when they dig down to this area, this point in time, with all the stuff that's on the planet, it needs a lot of cleansing and healing. And that's a reflection on us, because we need a lot of cleansing and healing to get us past this and get us through this. And it's more than achievable, even though it's daunting at the moment. It's more than achievable. And anybody who says it isn't, they're not really connected. So you've got to be connected. You've got to feel it. And people go, "Oh, you're bubbleheads and your airs." No, it's more than that. It's a channeling thing.
It's a channeling thing.
Absolutely. I feel this is what I was born here to do, is to speak like this, because I tried to speak like this when I was younger, and I was just called a nutcase or idyllic, ideologist. Too moralistic. I don't know how you can be too moralistic. I was like, "Oh, you're too moralistic. How can you?" Well, it's the moral. Your morals. How can you be too moralistic? It's like weird. All the abuse and that I was thrown at me when I was younger, and now I'm seeing more and more people speaking like this, and it's fantastic. Because you go,
fantastic.
This is what's coming through, and it's not going to be stopped. You cannot stop an idea. It's like that film, V for Vendetta. Ideas are bulletproof, and this is a feeling, and this is a movement that's bulletproof, and it's coming through, and it's everywhere, and it's just going to be amazing. I just know it. I even said to my politician, who I wrote to about this lockdowns we've been through, because I was objecting to it not being informed consent, and I said to him, even Eckhart Tolle has said politicians are going to wake up at some point in their career.
Yes, I was just thinking of the new earth. I journaled about it too. I was like, this is the new earth. And I read that book about 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I wrote that.
I was like, he got it. I was like, how did he get it? I was just like and then for him to equate it or you know put it in a book, that was amazing to me.
Yeah. So it's us. It's for us to get people to wake up. Because I've tried it, attacking a politician or the political arena with the truth movement information. It's just like they put the hand up and that's it. You start to work at it from a different angle to say, come on, these are your fellow human beings. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing? Look at this. There's suffering here. Oh no. Well, what are you doing about it? Well, this is not good enough. This is not accountable. And that's what I was saying about informed consent. I said, if you want me to take any medication whatsoever, I need to be informed and I need to give you my consent. And that's the day we lose that is the day that we lose everything. You know, if you're not consenting or being informed of what's happening to you, that is the day that we lose everything. And that's not going to happen if you keep your sovereignty as a body, and then you reach out to other people who are doing that. You start to build your own communities and you start to help each other. Like people come around here And they don't charge if we want some electricity done. We've got electrician friends that come around. Someone does a bit of building. I'll go and do a bit of gardening for somebody else. And sometimes money, sometimes not. Doesn't matter. It's just that community spirit that if someone needs something doing, you go and do it. You don't even think twice about it. You know, how much are they going to pay me? You know, you don't even think about it. You think if they've got a problem, you go and help them. And that's the world that I'm moving into, and many other people are moving into. And that's what's important, is to keep your focus on the positive things that are happening, because it will get worse. And you think about like a cut, or like a serious cut or injury. When does it look like it's worse? Is when it's just about to heal. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and then it's just about to heal. And then that's it. It will heal. And if you think about it, each of us are like a seed. We all have the information inside of us that just needs to be released. And you need to take the tools and the time to release that information, and then you'll become the being that you're supposed to be, rather than the conditioned automaton that we can be if we allow the conditioning to push us down. That's really so important. If that's what you hear from this podcast tonight, that's the one. Really, one thing, it's inside of you if you want it. And if you want to release it, you can. And that's really the most powerful thing you can take away from this podcast, I feel. Because a lot of people feel they can't. They feel they're so conditioned and trodden down that they can't do anything, and they can. They can do so much.
You can do so much.
Your intention, where your mind goes, your energy will follow. Put your intention out there, and you'll do good things. Try it. Just experiment with it. Ask. Yeah. Ask the universe. Just ask. What do I do with this? I do that all the time. I go, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah. And then when you do become the clear channel, the messages come faster. So I just want, everyone in the audience, if you feel like you can't manifest as fast, there's just layers you have to break down. It's a process. Everyone doesn't have it's not just magical for everyone. Everyone did the work that was necessary to get there.
It's a lot of work as well sometimes. Other people not so much, but it is a lot of work, and you've got to keep battling with it. Not even battling with it, going with it, and stop. As soon as you stop the resistance, it's the resistance. You'll feel the resistance in your back, your lower back in particular. If you're really resisting something, you'll start to get lower backache and things like that. And when I was first going through my Ki Gong training, the CEO of the group that I was with, he was going, Peter, lower back, resistance. You knew it. I go, yes, I'm resisting. Because I didn't want to let it go. I used to go in. Again, I was kind of quite heavily into the truth movement. So they would talk about the flow of money. And I do realize the flow of money now. But at that point, I was going, they create out of nothing. Surely they could give it to everybody. And all this stuff that was coming out. And they're going, well, yes, that's true. But you've got to see it in this light. And I go, okay, well, it's a currency. It needs to flow. And what's happening now is not flowing as well as it could do. And we can do that. We can change that. There's so much money in the world. We can get it to flow again.
Right.
And when it gets stuck on the banks, it becomes stagnant. When it flows through the river and into the oceans, it's flowing. And there's no worries about that. It shouldn't be any worries about that. We all live fairly comfortably, I would imagine. There's a few people now falling away. But then again, I say to people when I see them in the streets, I said, I try and go and speak to them and say, pull together, get your resources together. Don't take this out on your own. Be together with your other people, because a lot of them are having heartache or problems and they just want to be alone. But human beings start to pull together, even if they're in the most dire of consequences, which our ancestors have done, they will come out of this. And that's what we've got to do is pull together, even if you're at the lowest of the low. Get other people around you and get other people around you to trust and come from the heart. And then they'll start to trust you. Because if you do come from your heart and you speak from your heart, you're connected with your heart, you're also connected with your lower abdomen, you can heal these problems that we're in. And I know there's quite a lot of homeless in America, and there's quite a lot of homeless over here, and they need to pull together. And I haven't been to speak to them, but I've seen a lot of people, because I'm in the charity network as well, who are actually starting to do that, getting them to work together. They're starting to get them to work on like the gardens and growing food, and starting to look after themselves a bit better with exercise and things like that. So they're starting to raise their consciousness, raising their vibration to get them out of that position, because it's easy to slip once you get this negative energy. It's a very easy slide to just go down, and that's what it can happen. It can happen to anybody, but if you allow it to. But if that's what I'm saying about where your mind goes, your energy will follow. It will go dark or it can go light. You've got that choice, and it sounds really easy, but it kind of is. But it takes the work, like you say. It takes the work. So we've all got to help each other with that. Really open up our hearts and extend ourselves to each other. And it's not how many millions you can make anyway, it's how many millions you can serve, and the money will start flowing with you anyway. So if you serve 1 million people, that's it. It does. Yeah. That's what's so important. It's really difficult to get that concept if you're stuck in a place. What I say is, let go of that place. You can move out of it. You can move out of that place and start to move into another one. And it's been amazing, the journey both my wife and I have had is releasing things, and not arguing about stupid things anymore, which is really important for all of us to think about. Is that worth having an argument or a fight over? Is that because I've been offended, or because I've been hurt, or because has it really hurt me? No. Again, if you go to the I and I am, you're just observing that pain in your body. It's not really hurting you. You're just observing it. It's incredible life once you come back and you start to observe it, rather than being stuck in the fray of the battle that's going on in front of you. It's we live in interesting times.
We do,
and it's quicker. In the Kali Yuga, in the Vedic scripts, they say the Kali Yuga is the easiest time to become enlightened as a being, i.e. shedding all this human garbage away from you, because it's easier to see what's going wrong. If you imagine you're living in this utopic world of the golden age, and everything was wonderful and beautiful, and all the lakes were clean, and you could drink from any lake, and all your vegetation was organic and really nutritious, you didn't have to eat so much. Far more difficult to cleanse yourself in that time than it is in the Kali Yuga. And that's what some gurus think. The reason we got so many people incarnating into the planet at the moment is because they want to be here at this time, because we're coming through the end of this Kali Yuga to say, I've cleansed myself a little bit more so they can move up the ladder, as it were. So that's what it is. And then once you get it into perspective, you go, okay, well, this is meant to be like this. Let's move forward. And that's what I love to help people to do. Yeah.
We are living in absolutely beautiful times, Peter. We are. Chaos and beauty can coexist. It's just, what side do you want? And then later on, it'll start to flow. But this is amazing. And I feel like I could be on here for hours with you. I'm pretty sure we could talk about so many things, but it's nice to be in this space with you, talking about, like, with the time, what we passed through and how we got through it. And just to let the audience know that once you do the work and you peel off the onion layers, they're really the manifestations just, for me, like I'm calling them miracles because, they are appearing, but really as divine beings, these miracles are not miracles. They really are our birthright to have these. But like I said, we've incarnated into this lifetime to experience this. So enjoy the beauty of it.
Yeah. Look at it. You wake up in the morning and you got the sunrise, the sunset, got the birds flying around the garden. You got our garden. Because we put so much energy into our garden now, it's just like walking into a dream out there now. And we've got slate pebbles on either side of the lawn. We've got vegetable raised beds growing food. We've got a potting shed that's got lots of herbs that we just cut a load of coriander and fresh parsley out of that to have with our curry today. And it's just idyllic walking out there. And because it's on a square, you've got trees in all the garden, so you're almost like walking into a wood where when you're walking out into a garden. The only drawback is we're on a busy road, but that's just a drawback, and you don't really notice it after a while anyway. But you can create the space you want to live in, and it's the Chinese word wu wei, which means action, non-action. So that's a very difficult concept, but I'll explain it, and I'll probably get crucified by any Chinese masters for saying this. But it's like you create your space and then you can just maintain it. So it's like an action, non-action. You enjoy it and you're with it once you've created it. And it's like you don't have to do anything. You just do it. And it's like that place where you're really connected. And you can put that energy into anything, into a room, into your house, into your garden, into yourself. Most importantly, I think the most important thing is to do it for yourself first, and then pass that on to what's around you. Because it's that old adage of the air stewardess saying, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you put the oxygen mask on somebody else, because then you're in a position of power to help them rather than trying to help them and putting yourself in jeopardy.
Yes.
And you won't be able to help anybody else. And it's not selfish. People think this path is selfish, but no, you're here to do that. You're here to do that. It's not selfish at all. It's what's happened is there's like everything's been turned upside down. So narcissism is selfish. Your narcissism, which is kind of coming from the ego, whereas self-love is completely different. You're taking care of yourself, and once you realize what you are, you realize what other people are, and you want to take care of them as well, because you realize they're the same as you. Mm-hmm. Existing in a vehicle, trying to go home, basically. And all we do is trying to help other people go home. And that's what the inward journey is. Self-love is all about that. It's not narcissism or sociopathy or psychopathy. It's you and your self-love. It's really important to get that inside of you and really comprehend that and understand it, even stand under it, to see, do you understand about the stand under and understand? Why we use understand in the law. I try and say comprehend now. Well, understand means to stand under. So when a police officer arrests you, they always say, do you understand? And as soon as you say yes, you've consented to what they've said. If you say, no, I don't understand you, they can't arrest you because you haven't understood them. And you haven't stood under their law. It's all about corporate law. We live in a corporate world law. But divulge. It's about you focusing on yourself and comprehending it deeply, really getting inside of yourself. Yeah, the corporate law thing, we are in corporate law, and you cannot use free man of the land things like your sovereign being. The point is, I think it's like Jesus said, pay them with their own money. Pay them with their own money. I ignore them, keep away from them, don't get involved with it. Pay them with their own money. Create your world, which is what he did here. Create it here. And that's really what it's all about, is creating your own world rather than being sucked into the one that's terrible. Because our world is beautiful. It's beautiful. Our world is beautiful. It's a wonderful place. I've always thought that. Every time I've been to any place, like I've been to Fiji, when I was very young, went to Fiji, I went to Australia, went to Ayers Rock, met many Aborigines over there, met the indigenous people of Fiji, and I was blown away by that as a young boy of about 6 or 7, seeing these people all in the tribe, all living happily and not really happy. At that point, I was looking, I thought, but they haven't got anything. They've got a few huts here and they're
right, very little. Same in the Philippines.
So happy. They were so happy, and it was like,
and what they can even do with their human body is amazing, right? They can trek a whole mountain with no shoes.
Yeah, they're human beings. They're physical beings. It's like when you think about our ancestors in when they used to fight back in like the medieval times. If you think about Harold, King Harold, who he marched his army all the way up to Scotland, not really non-stop. They used to sleep. Then he marched all the way back and then marched down from London, that was, up to Scotland, which is about 600 miles. And he marched back down to London. Then about another 50 miles to go and fight the French. No breaks, no stops. And the Roman army just used to march across the continent of Europe without any stops or breaks and fight. I mean, human beings today can't even walk around the corner to get a bottle of water. So now I'll take my car. It's too much. It's like these bodies are made to move. They're made to move.
They're made to move, be in nature, to just truly enjoy.
Yeah, and just be with it, all of it, and grounding, getting your flesh on the earth, your feet. If you need more, I don't know if you've seen those new films coming out and this new science that's coming out. The people who have got these really serious illnesses, and all they're doing is grounding.
Yeah,
all they're doing is grounding, and they're healing these amazing problems they got in their body, and they're healing it through grounding. It's just like, wow, where did that come from? Which is what I do now with the electromagnetic frequencies that we've got. We've got lots of clear quartz crystals. We've got one on the fuse box. We've got little bowls of them all around the house to try and keep the energy a bit fresher from all this electromagnetic frequency that we got from Wi-Fi and 5G and all this stuff coming onto us. And we got like bracelets here to ground us, so it's putting in a negative charge rather than all these positive ions attacking us. We've got negative charge, and I didn't used to do this, but we use crystals as well, like tourmaline on the skin, chakra bracelets to chakras.
You're reminding me, I have like a ton of them upstairs and I haven't been wearing them lately. I was like, oh, I need to do it. So then I have, because my sister does bracelets and she works with stones. So I was just thinking about, like, with all the chaos of astrology right now, and thank God we're getting out of Mercury retrograde, but I was just like, how come I wasn't wearing my shungite,
Yeah, I've got shungite here, down here, yeah.
You have shungite also?
Yeah, down here, yeah. We put it in the water. That came from Peter the Great. Peter the Great was a Russian commander, and he used to use, it's in the history books, he used to use shungite, put it in the water to cleanse the water.
To cleanse it? Yeah. Shungite has amazing properties in it.
Yeah. We got all this stuff, and we use pharmaceutical products instead. And we're thinking, why is that? It's crazy. We got all this amazing healing stuff, and I didn't realize the power of it until I started using it. And it was the black tourmaline that was recommended to me by a friend of mine who actually got me into this, because he did my numerology. It was really interesting. He said, as I was getting attacked by negative entities, and when I was living in my flat in Staines, and it was like an archon. Do you understand the concept of archons?
No, I don't. I mean, I've been hearing it, more in the recent times, but I don't understand the concept of it.
The Gnostics called it. The Gnostics were like the Essenes from Jesus' time, or the Cathars, and they came up with the concept of archons, which is like a darker energy, inorganic being that attack us for food and things like that. And it felt like an archon attack, so I started to wear black tourmaline, but it still came. I'm actually speaking to one of my clients at the moment. He's got the same thing, and I'm actually doing the same thing with her. But it used to come to my flat, and I felt like it had taken everything. So I was waking up like this with a sharp intake of breath and looking around my flat to think, oh my goodness, everything's missing. But nothing was. It was just all an illusion in my head. And I was speaking to this friend of mine saying, oh, I've got this major problem with this dark thing in my flat. And he said, put this black tourmaline on. Next time it's around, just tell it to go away. It will go. And I went, what are you talking about? You can't just tell it to go away. So this happened again. So this thing was there. I was really scared, and not really scared. I was just thinking, why is this thing taken from me? So it wasn't really fear. It was more like, I don't know what's going on. I couldn't understand. So I sat up in my bed, and this thing kind of started to appear out of the ether at the end of my bed. And I said, you've got no right to be around me. Just go away. Go away and go. Just go. I don't want you around here. And sure enough, the thing went. Nothing happened to me after that ever. It was quite amazing. Quite amazing.
No, that's interesting that you talk about that, because even like my healer says that, like if you just say, like go away, it really will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. These and it's just an energy. It's an energy.
It is just an energy.
Yeah, yeah. It's like all of this is just an energy. That's why I like Carl Jung's research on psychology. It's just energy, and all the Vedic demigods and gods, they're just energies. They're talking about energies, and we can pick up on any energy that we want. We have a choice, and it's really important to get that. We have a choice to which energy we want. We're talking about the truth movement. You want that energy, choose it. If you want to choose love, empathy, compassion, your heart chakra, choose it. If you want to ground yourself, choose your lower dantian, your power, your passion, your creativity. That's your lower dantian. Your upper dantian is like your intuition, your vision, your wisdom that comes in. So if you get all three of those together, so you're fully in tune as a human being, wow, is it all
wow,
different?
is it amazing? I know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
well,
fantastic.
Well, Peter, if the audience, we've there's so many gems dropped here in this podcast today. What I wanted to do was, is there, like I said, you do Qigong and sound healing. Is there any way that you can let the audience know of any classes that you're offering if this is a pathway that they'd like to go down, which I highly encourage you?
Yeah, well, I've got Qigong is like, I do that for free on my YouTube channel, believe it or not. I stream Qigong classes for free at 11 o'clock UK time.
Okay. And what's your YouTube channel?
Peter Paul Parker.
Peter Paul Parker. Okay.
And then if you want to go deeper with me with coaching, I do that as well. You can go to peterpaulparker.com, and that will take you to a free webinar. You can watch a free webinar, and that explains everything that I do and the process that I take people through. So it's peterpaulparker.com. So if you just type Peter Paul Parker, you can find my websites and my YouTube channel. They're quite prevalent. There's only one Peter Paul Parker. I think there's a famous Peter Parker, isn't there? That Spider-Man.
Oh, yes. Yes, Spider.
So
you're the new Spider-Man.
Yeah, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. If you put the Paul in the middle, you should be able to find me quite easily. So YouTube channel, there are free Qigong classes on there. I do ask for donations, but I've kept it like that because it's just my regular students who come through onto the online, they are paying for it. So I do ask for donations, and I've kept it like that because I was thinking about turning it into an academy and charging people strictly, but I've kept it loose like I did when I first set up my Qigong classes, where you pay what you can afford. Usually you get more than you do when you say, give me £15 a class, whatever. So it's like that. It's like I do it for donations. So you can find it on the YouTube channel. You can find all sorts of stuff on there. I've got a free breathing course on there, introduction to the first step of my dream method coaching course, and it is like a free grounding method. And I'll tell you what, if anybody contacts me, I'll give them a free Udemy course on breathing. So it gives them about 5 or 6 breathing techniques you've got on there. I explain why deep breathing is so important to your body, which is what we kind of touched on already. And it's just an introduction to you starting to connect with your body. And I can do that. I can give vouchers away for that. So I'll send them through to you via email, and you can use them when you want to. So I'll give that away for free as well. So there's webinar, you've got Qigong classes, and also a Udemy course that I can do for breathing if you want to do that. So You have to contact you, Lisa. Yeah.
Well, you heard that, audience, and I'm actually going to put that down in the description when I release this podcast. So if you guys want to look at those resources and just let them know that you heard it through the 8 billion podcasts.
Yeah.
But Peter, oh my gosh, what an amazing, I think we went a little bit over an hour, but I mean, when the energy just flows like this and it's absolutely information that will help the audience, I just allow the podcast or the connection to just take its place, because there's so much information that's helpful to the audience. But I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story, your light, your energy, the work that you do. And I know, by no means is it going to end here. I think we're all in this together as a collective. And I'm definitely looking forward to taking some of your Ki Gong classes, because I can even just feel energy. When you just go like this.
Yeah, with the hands back and forth.
You could totally feel it now. So we are in the most amazing times in human history. And, if you choose that path, and Peter and I do encourage you to do that, it's amazing where you'll end up on the other side.
Yeah, come and join us.
Yeah, come and join us on this side.
Yeah. You don't want to be over there anymore. It's a leap, but it's not even a leap of faith, it's a leap of love. Just let yourself go. Just let yourself go to it. And it'll be the best thing you ever did, is the best thing I've ever done. You think, being stuck in depression and anxiety and stress, don't want to be there anymore. I still feel stressed, I still feel anxious, and I can feel depression come in occasionally, but it lasts like 2 or 3 seconds.
Me too.
Yeah, just 2 or 3 seconds. There it's gone.
It is. It's the same thing for me too. I was just like, it's been happening to me recently, and I was like, how is this happening? Like, I would call it a miracle, but like after you do the work now, you'll just realize all these things just manifest left and right.
Yeah. You're totally 100% back in control of yourself, which is where you want to be. You don't want to be anybody else controlling you. You want to be in control of yourself, and you can help other people in such a nice way. So that's what it's all about. So yes, this is a continuing conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So I will definitely actually have you back, again in the near future, Peter. I love the work that you do and your energy and your spirit. And we're definitely on this road to helping people understand the power that they have within.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, well, of course, I love this conversation, and I'd love to hear how people benefit from this as well, because that's what it's all about. It's just giving you another outlook on how human beings can see the world. And we're all looking at the same picture. It's just that we all see it from a different viewpoint. If you think about 6 blind men all feeling an elephant, and one of them going, oh, it's a long sort of trunk type thing. Another one saying, no, it's like a flat sort of plate, which would be the ear. Then someone, no, it's a really scrawny little thing, which would be the tail. No, they're big. So if we all sit there with our egos trying to shout at each other saying, this is how an elephant is. No, it's like, there's the picture, and let's just share what we see, and let's try and comprehend and have compassion and empathy for what other people see. And then try and get them to see it in the way that it should be seen, rather than looking at it like a really dark picture. Actually, it's a picture full of light and love. And you can never, ever, no matter how much darkness there is, it can never put out a candle. And you just let that candle shine and shine and shine. Just shine.
Just shine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Peter, from the bottom of my heart for you being able to share your light with the world. And I just want to tell everyone in the audience, thank you for tuning in. I hope you found so much value out of this podcast and you continue to watch. Please share this with other people if you feel that there's so much valuable information that that we've shared today. So again, thank you, Peter. And thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of the 8 Billion Podcast.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If it's moved you in any way, please review and share your thoughts, or text me your thoughts at 949-247-2800.